Hey everybody, it's Clint Powell, and today's episode is brought to you by two great sponsors. One is my friends at JB Millworks. Jeremy Price and his staff do wonderful work. I'm going to tell you how to get a hold of them first. jbmillworks.com, or you can call them at 706-965-6940. And then I'm going to tell you why. You ready? They have great products. They have doors, they have stair parts, trim work, anything you're wanting for remodel or new construction. But they also have beautiful plantation shutters. Make your house look gorgeous. And high quality, energy saving, gorgeous, beautiful sun-clad windows. I know a little bit about sun-clad windows. I know the owner of the company, Frank Anderson, and I'm telling you right now, if you have a home and you're wanting to get the best of both worlds, high energy savings and yet a beautiful wood look on the interior, it is gorgeous inside and outside wood-clad windows from Sun Windows. jbmillworks.com or 706-965-6940. Also, a sponsor of today's episode is Lori Monteith with Keller Williams, or as she is known on Facebook and Google, Team Monteith. Lori started in the real estate industry back when everybody was getting out of it with the great economic downturn. She made the most of it. She pulled through. She does business the right way. And in a world where there's all these multiple offers, houses are not staying on the market long, you're wanting to move or you're wanting to sell, you need someone who has a track record of getting things done. Find out more about her. Team Monteith is on Facebook. You can also Google Lori Monteith, but you can call them at 315-0042, 423-315-0042, or you can find out more at findchattanoogarealestate.com. Enjoy today's episode. Hey folks, Clint Powell here. This is During the Break. Let's do this. Welcome to During the Break podcast. Hey, thanks for listening. You can find all of our past episodes at duringthebreakpodcast.com. We're also on iTunes, Google Play, Spotify. I think we're about to be on Pandora, wherever you listen to podcasts. If you have a chance, please rate and review us on iTunes because it helps us grow the podcast. Selfishly, that's what I want because I love doing it. So I want to eventually do this plus my radio shows and some marketing stuff. I want to do that full time. Also, you can be a patron by visiting Patreon, Patreon.com and / During the Break podcast, or just go to our website, scroll about halfway down. You'll see where it says support the podcast. You can do that too. Give a donation, $1, $5 or whatever. But there is one option that if you do that every month, we will give free publicity to a charity of your choice. So thank you for listening. With that being said, let's get this thing going. All right. This past week, I did, 5 or 6 mini podcasts where they were 6 minutes or less, and it was on different topics. I tried not to do any politics. It was all feel-good, motivational stuff. But it's that time. It's time for me, once again, to bring smarter people into the room, more entertaining people. I've got my guest today, which I will tell you who it is in just a minute. Next week, last week I had Dr. David Banks. Next week I have Chattanooga Police Chief David Roddy. Media well-known Donna L. is coming in. Ed Jones, owner of Nutrition World, is coming back in. I've just got a bunch of guests. Dr. Lane Swafford's coming in. Just a bunch of people coming in. So I know you're excited. I can feel it. I can feel it through the microphone. With that being said, though, and all of them are going to have a hard time topping today's guest as far as excitement, entertainment, energy. That's the one word I would use to describe today. From your KZ106 here in Chattanooga, Tennessee, Scott Chase.
How are you, man?
Did I do it right? Did that sound like a DJ right there?
It was good. Yeah, good.
Scott Chase.
Yeah, I've always thought you were worldwide, but now actually you are.
I am worldwide.
Yeah, you
Absolutely. We get downloads from all over the world. I think we've got them from Canada. I know we've got them in Italy and Spain, England, Mexico, Africa, Saudi Daisy.
Really?
Ringgold. All the way down to Ringgold. How you doing, man?
Man, I'm good, man. Thanks for the invite.
All right, so let's do this. Full disclosure, you were my either first or second podcast.
Yes.
I can't remember. I had you, 3-time All-Pro NFL running back Gerald Riggs, and then my friend Dr. David Banks.
I came in hot, man. Up guns blazing, and then at the end of the 20, 30 minutes.
I called Scott back about 2 days later, and Gerald Riggs and Dr. Banks, and I told all three of them, hey, you know that new podcast thing I'm doing? Yeah, I didn't push the right button. And everybody was super cool. And Scott goes, well, damn. Hey, can I push the buttons next time? I went, no, I've got to learn to do it, Scott. You can't, if you teach a man to fish, he can feed himself. There's some quote in there. I said, no, I got to learn to do it.
You have a lot of knobs over here, though, now.
We've done it good, though, man.
Since last time I was here, I mean, there are a lot of lights flashing. There's knobs everywhere.
I've got your levels right here in front of me.
Perfect.
You'd be so proud of me. So tell everybody who may be listening from anywhere, you do run control. What's your job title? How long have you been with WSKZ KZ106?
I moved to Chattanooga, Tennessee during the holidays right before New Year's Day, which was my first day, 1985. Started on KZ106 and started as midday personality on KZ and program director. I was recruited by a couple of people that I knew here already because I had worked in the Evansville, Indiana market with Bloomington Broadcasting folks that owned KZ106 back in the day.
Oh, yeah.
And some of those people were Don Newberg, who was the general manager, who anybody who's ever come in contact, and there are many on Pineville Road that have learned so much from Don Newberg. I mean,
they named a lake after him.
They did.
Lake Newberg.
They did, and it's grown. It's more flooded now than it's ever been.
I used to work there, full disclosure again. I used to work there for about 14 years.
So I worked with him. I worked with Greg Schaefer, who was actually the guy that hired me here because I'd worked with him in Evansville. I worked with Eric Page, the pager, who was...
I didn't know Eric Page was from there.
Eric Page, well, he was... I was a program director for a rock station that we put on up there, and Eric Page was the night guy. He was Eric Stone, the stoner. Actually, that's when he was here too, but the name changed to protect the innocent. But so anyway, Eric meets me in Henderson, Kentucky. Calls me up there, and I've got a radio station I'm working, and there was an ownership change there, and they had told the whole staff, we're going to keep everything the same, which I didn't really believe was true, and wasn't. So this opportunity popped up. Eric calls. He goes, hey man, will you meet with me? And so I did. At the Ramada Inn in Henderson, Kentucky, we sat down, we talked. He goes, we need a PD. Our program director at KZ106 is gone, and I don't really like working for anybody, but I like you. Could you come down here and be my boss? I go, yeah, I think I can. So we made the decision, and I moved down here. And
was Danny Brown here at that time?
Danny Brown was the director of sales.
Oh, wow.
Don Newberg was the GM, and then Danny Brown.
Wow.
Chuck Wilkins was there.
For some reason, though, I see this is as you get older, boys and girls, because I'm 51. I know.
Yeah.
And when I started working down there
when was that?
30.
And what year?
It was 1996.
Okay.
1996.
Yeah.
Or 97. One of the, I can't remember, but it was the end of, it was right before it went from Bloomington to Radio Chattanooga.
Right.
In those times, and then it switched over to Citadel, and now it's Cumulus. Right. But when I came, it was Danny Brown's, I think, first or second year, maybe even he had just recently been promoted to the GM.
Mm-hmm.
And then Chuck had been promoted to director of sales.
Right.
And so Kennard Yamada was his first year as anything other than a sales rep. He was sales manager, and I was his first hire.
Well, how about that?
Oh, yeah, we talked about how I was never lucky to get that job. And there was something I was going to ask. Oh, so as you get older, your memory plays tricks on you. I thought for some reason you were here earlier than 85. Because I graduated high school in 86. So I just remember hearing Scott Chase, and for some reason in my brain, it's like all the way through junior high and high school, man. No, but you started doing, so if you're listening to this, and if you're in radio, it's like, that's not that unique. Most of us, it's unique. Studio in the Sky. If you're from Chattanooga, you remember the KZ106 Studio in the Sky on Friday nights on Brandon Road.
You do.
How did y'all do that?
They did it a couple of years before I got here, and then we did it several years afterwards. It was pretty amazing how, and I was there, not the Holiday Bowl, but spare time.
Spare time's there now.
Yeah,
where the old car wash.
Yeah, it was right above the car wash.
Yeah,
and man, we were up and down that ladder all the time like it was nothing.
It was
big
night.
Deal.
It was dark.
You bounce around. It was not always night. On middays, I do middays up there too.
Oh, that's right.
So we do middays, afternoons. Mike Allison, I remember he'd go up there because the sun would just be bearing down on you in the afternoon, and he was kind of sensitive anyway. And so he'd get a sunburn once in a while. He's like, oh, man, I have to go up. Yeah, you got to go, man. It's fun. But nighttime was definitely the right time.
Absolutely. After 7, 8 o'clock, about 8 to 8:30 on a Friday night.
Party breaks out.
I'm telling you. People don't understand. I tell my kids this all the time. It was, as a parent, it would probably terrify me if my kids were out there. But I can tell you where you could find every kid.
It was that bank parking lot. What bank was that?
It was First Tennessee. You talking about right behind you guys?
Well, it was the bowling alley, and then the
First
car
Tennessee
wash,
Bank.
and then was First Tennessee. I guess it was.
Well, there's First Tennessee Banks back towards Eastgate because Eastgate was where it was kind of the middle ground,
right?
And it went all the way up to where Capitol is, and then it went all the way down to where the Burger King is.
Well, that's when people they were cruising Brainerd Road. It was the spot.
That's right.
It was before downtown and the aquarium and the South Side and North
Eastgate
Shore
had movie theaters.
Right.
They had 3 or 4 little movie theaters at Eastgate, so you could actually still go shop there.
Yeah.
And there was restaurants, and you could go see a movie for $3, and you could, get gas for 89 cents a gallon, and, you take a girl out, and there was all those restaurants, and then you go hang out and listen and get KZ wings on your car.
You could.
Whatever. Heck yeah.
Win stuff.
It doesn't seem like it's been that long ago, but it's been that long ago.
Yeah, that's been 34 plus years ago.
Have you always been so when you came to KZ 106, what's the official station genre now? Is it classic rock?
It was classic. Yeah.
Has that changed?
KZ started in 1978, August. Celebrated our 40th year last year. It started as a rock-based top 40 station, a station that would play Alabama in those days, and still plays ZZ Top and Skynyrd, and play some Led Zeppelin. And
I heard Hank Williams on there. Hank Williams Jr. on there.
Really?
Yes.
Time or two? Yeah.
Yes, I have.
Once in a while when Hank was coming to town, you had to play some.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was a rock-based top 40. We went through a period of time where top 40 or CHR contemporary music went through a little redefining period where it became kind of a melting pot of heavy metal, Iron Maiden, and Belle Biv DeVoe at the same time and on the same radio station. And we went through kind of a identity, I'm not going to say crisis, but kind of a reckoning where we had to decide, well, what are we going to do? Are we going to go more rock? Are we going to go more top 40 and rhythmic? And we chose to go back to the roots and play a basic 70s mix in those days and some 80s mix and become a classic hit station is really basically what it was. And then evolved into a full mainstream, what would be a classic rock station right down the middle.
So what's the years right now you're playing? 70s, 80s, not what 60s, 70s? What is it?
70s and 80s and some 90s. Not much, some though. But beginning to delve into the 90s some because it's
it's
been a while.
Is that weird for you to look back on? Is it keep you so in the game that you really never notice how far you've come or how it's changed? Or are you very cognizant of the music we're playing now is different than, you know what I'm saying?
Well, I know the music that we play, the artists that we play are darn near timeless. They really are. I mean, I don't know that has there been a generation there was so much sharing between fathers and grandfathers and their grandchildren about a genre of music. Not really. I mean, the Pink Floyds and Led Zeppelins and Rolling Stones and Van Halen's, they definitely are songs that have spanned several decades.
My daughter right now, if you ask my daughter or son, we play this game all the time, and they get it right almost every time. If I ask them, if we're listening to a song, and there's a couple that I make sure they're so unique, they can tell you if it's an AC/DC song or a ZZ Top song or a CCR song
that's good.
Or an Eagle song. They'll tell you because they've heard it. So right when the music starts, I went, who is that, guys? And they may not even know the song, but they know that the sound of the band. And it also freaks my kids out when they'll hear a new song or they'll hear one of my old songs and they'll go, hey, they stole that, and they'll say from like Drake or something, some new guy.
They sampled it.
And I went,
who sampled it?
And I went, no. Your dude stole it. I don't think your guy went and did it from 1974, sweetheart. So they're amazed at how much of that music not only is shared, but good stuff.
Well, what's amazing to me is I came to Chattanooga to be PD of KZ, did middays. I did mornings for a period of time.
Yeah.
And we put together the KZ Morning Zoo back in the day with David Earl, Randy Ross, J. Scott the Jammer, and Ophelia Buns, and Wally Copter, and this whole cast of characters that we put together. And then Mike Allison left, and anyway, so, but lots of things have evolved. We put John Boy and Billy on. Kelly and I did mornings together. We moved to afternoons. I've taken on some other duties at the radio station where I kind of oversee some of the other formats that we have in the building right now. But one of the things that's consistent, I still get to be, I'm kind of in charge of the direction and where we're going and personnel and who's there, what formats we are, what we say, how we present ourselves, how we market ourselves, what our message should be. but still I get to go on the radio in the afternoon and play the music that I absolutely love. I mean, how many times have I played Stairway to Heaven or Freebird or any number of other songs on the radio? And how many times do we still crank it up? Ask Bill Lockhart, who's in the next room doing the news. He still cranks it up pretty loud.
Yeah.
Because I can't hear as well as I used to, so I really turn it up now.
Well, it's because you listened to it so loud before, now you listen to it because you have to. You used to because you wanted to, now it's because you have to.
Man, I love what we do.
Yeah.
I love being on the radio and meeting people and talking to people and playing Train Kept It Rolling all night long.
Hey, folks, don't forget this episode is brought to you by JB Millworks, jbmillworks.com. Just jump off there and have that quick conversation. And I don't care if you want to talk about the music part of it or the radio part of it, but it has changed. Rock and roll. Is it still there?
Oh, yes. I think without a doubt. Yeah.
You got,
are people making songs now?
Yes, that's what I'm talking about.
I think they are.
Do you listen to new stuff or are you so wound into what you're doing?
I listen to everything.
Do you really?
I listen to a lot of things. Yeah, I listen to.
I couldn't tell you a new group that's a good rock.
You know, I'm not as plugged in, but I still listen as much. And are they going to make that much difference in the history of
Have we
music?
made all the classic stuff we're going to make?
Is it all made up? Is it all done?
Holy damn, Scott.
Oh my
Is that what you're telling me? Hey, fellas, just unplug the sound, the synthesizers or guitar. We're done.
Yeah, I don't know about it. I don't think that's probably true.
I don't think it is.
No.
I don't know, though. Here's what I think. I think there's so much industry noise out there now because everybody's going to be on YouTube now and be a superstar. They don't really need the album covers anymore. They don't need the big promotion or publicity team. They can just do it, which is great for an artist, I think. I think if you're an artist, I think it's probably one of the best times to ever be alive.
Yes.
I think as a fan, it's easy to find something you like, but I don't know if we're going to have the next CCR. I don't know if the next Eagles group is out there.
Well, who would it be? Who would it be right now?
That's what I'm saying. I don't have a
super talents.
I couldn't have a clue, man.
Yeah.
You know, to me, I'm still get excited if they tell me, you know, one of the old groups is taking a tour.
Yeah.
You know, as long as they can.
There's
have
a bunch
it
out
up
there.
right.
Rolling Stones out this year. Fleetwood Mac out this year.
Yeah.
Bob Seger finishing the 50th tour. So a lot of those bands are out there doing stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and there's people still going to see them. Do you like going to concerts?
Love it.
Do
Yeah.
you see? I can't do concerts.
Oh, I love concerts. Yeah.
Even now,
I'm
the
gonna go
crowds
see-
don't bother you.
No, man, I'm going to go see the Rolling Stones, and we're trying to decide where we're going to go. We're either going to go see them in Chicago.
Yeah.
They're doing all the big stadium tours, or potentially New Orleans Jazz Festival because the Stones are playing that, or maybe at Denver. I'm thinking maybe Colorado and the Rolling Stones.
Maybe.
Because they sound really good there.
I bet they do. They sound great there. Okay. So rock and roll radio. How's radio's changed?
Radio or just rock radio? Radio in general has.
Because there's a lot of ways to take that. Technology's affected it.
It has.
And it used to have a lot more people in the building. Buildings,
well, because
it takes
technology,
fewer
I
people.
think, has driven the ability to be able to do more with less. When I started in the business, which is in the 70s, I was going to college, and my teacher in college, speech teacher, I was making speeches, and he was a radio guy. Did sports and did radio as well. And he goes, "Man, you got kind of a flair for public speaking. Have you ever thought about doing radio?" And I thought, well, no. I'm just, I'm at school, I'm partying, I'm hanging out, and trying to pass grades and bag a big sack full of babes. So that's what I was doing. But I said no. So I said, I think there's a job opening. So the guy I was going to school with and myself got a job, started in radio. In those days, we're playing album and 45s. I mean, that was it. That's what we played music. So we went from there technology-wise, and we played carts, which are very similar to 8-tracks.
8-tracks, yeah.
Kind of look like. They were a 40-second cart to carry a 30-second commercial, 70-second for a 60-second commercial, and then so on and so on. And then we went from there and then went to the CD age. CDs hit. I think the first one that KZ played was Reckless by Bryan Adams, the first CD.
Really?
And so we went
There's
from albums to carts to CDs. And then it was
digital.
computers. And then it's all.
When I first started, there was still reel to reel in the back. And when I was at Carson Newman, I was a journalist. I was a media major, and we had to actually splice.
Oh yeah.
We had to make our own commercials and then splice tape together.
I've done a bunch.
Yeah, well, I'm glad you've done a bunch because mine sounded awesome. terribly. Oh, it was horrible.
Well,
God, it was horrible.
And now it is just amazing. And there was a period of time when computers happened and we loaded all the music on computers, but the fidelity was not what it is now because there wasn't the storage space that is available now. You only had so much room, and so you had to squeeze the MP, whatever it might be, in. And now we have the ability to record off album if we want to directly in there, and it'd be a WAV file. And the quality is much better.
I think this is going to sound crazy. I tell my kids this, though, and I wish when I have, they're not that expensive. But I still think an album, a real album, sounds better.
We've got a Technics turntable in the control room, and I play albums occasionally. And there's
wait, you still play albums every now and then?
Oh, yeah. Do
you tell everybody on the radio when you're doing it? Well, I got to listen to that more. I just tune in and listen to music.
And you're right, man. It sounds so good.
Oh, it's almost like you can hear each instrument or whatever they're doing just so much clearer.
The separation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that.
Oh, it makes a big difference.
WKRP in Cincinnati, the turkey drop. Remember the turkey?
Hard to forget that.
Hard to forget. One of the best things
we thought
ever.
they could fly.
It's caught his moment. I thought turkeys could fly. That right there is one of the greatest punchlines of any TV show ever. Have you ever had moments like that as when you're doing promotions as a radio station?
Hey, we did and who was there? Sam Hall, I believe he was there. And we were doing it with a guy named Butch Johnson was the traffic guy.
Oh, I remember.
A plane.
Does he have his own plane or a helicopter?
Yeah, he
had
a plane. It had a plane.
Okay.
And we were going to do a drop of, and where were we? We were in Georgia somewhere, and Sam would know exactly where it was. It was a big shopping area. Maybe the outlet stores or something out close to Dalton, maybe when they were opening up, and we did a big broadcast down there. And they were going to drop all of these gift certificates and stuff out for all the stores.
Right.
From the plane. We had a bunch of people out there, and somehow they didn't get turned loose from the bags, so the bags just dropped, and whoop, and they hit the ground. It was like we had that moment of, boy, our liability's really out there right
Terminal
now.
velocity had been, so you're just dropping sacks of weight.
Yeah, there was one of those. We've had concert caravans that we used to do and had just a blast where occasionally they would almost get out of control. I remember 6 bus loads of fans that were going to see Pink Floyd in Atlanta. And that was back in the days when you won your way on or you bought your way on to the bus, and we would have a beer sponsor. We'd have Miller or Budweiser or somebody or Coors put a keg of beer. I mean, you get on the bus and there's free courtesy keg. And everybody.
As it should be.
And they drank it. And I remember we left and headed to Atlanta, 6 buses, and 2 or 3 of the buses had floated those kegs by the time we got to Rome. And they're like, more beer, more beer. And we made the mistake of pulling over and getting more beer.
Oh.
And we had a bunch of wasted Pink Floyd fans.
It was a good trip.
It was a great trip. Legendary.
I think it was a good trip. If you remember if it was a good trip.
Legendary trip. Man,
who in your business leads you to meet good people, cool people?
Oh,
right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So
do you get starstruck easily? When you're around people who are famous, do you get a lot of goo-goo eyes? Are you the kind of guy that does, I don't need the autograph and all that stuff?
I wish I had, I wish I'd gotten more autographs over the years. Because I think about that. Because in those days, it was like, whatever. I'm good. Everybody else could get a picture, get an autograph, or whatever. I got some. I've got several, but several of those moments I've got them right here. I can still remember them, and there's some really great memories that I've had with different people. Because I've met,
who's a couple that you have met that when you met, because you've met so many well-knowns. Who's a couple that you've met that you kind of even when you met him, like, man, this is cool.
Elton John.
Really?
Yeah. Elton John. We went to Atlanta, and Elton John, I can't remember exactly what album was. I think, I don't know, but a bunch of radio guys came into a recording studio in Atlanta.
Right.
And so I say a bunch, 40, maybe 30 to 40. And I'm from a little further from me to you. I mean, probably 10, 12 feet away from the piano. And in walks Elton John. He sits down right there and plays Rocket Man and some tunes off the new album and Tiny Dancer. And what I think was so amazing to me is he was so good. He was so good. I mean, didn't miss a lick. His voice was right on. It was he and the piano. And then I met him afterwards. He's out. Don't get me wrong, man. He was out there a little bit. But yeah, there's one of those. There's some people that have done really good backstage meets and greets over the years, and some that were not quite as good. I think about Aerosmith and Steven Tyler, Joe Perry, the whole band.
Yeah,
probably do the best backstage meet and greets.
What makes it a good meet and greet? What does that mean?
Well, they take time to spend time with the fans.
Oh, okay.
And they take pictures, and they sign anything they want, and they have things prepared to sign. And it was through every level of sobriety or insobriety that they had, too, because those guys have gone through periods of time where they were trying to be sober, and you couldn't have any beer back there at all, which is kind of a bummer because you want to have a couple of beers backstage is what you do. Yeah. And then there are other times when they're a party. But no matter where they were as far as that goes, it was all about the fans and all making sure that there was a great experience with the fans. And some other bands that Motley Crue, I remember a time or two, were not. You may be a huge fan. I love most of Motley Crue too, but they may have been having a bad day or a bad time or whatever.
I heard Guns N' Roses is kind of hard a little bit behind the scenes. Yeah, I tell you somebody I'm going to hopefully have on soon, Dixie Fuller, who helps with Riverbend.
He's done and seen a lot.
He's done and seen a lot, and I've asked him, and I'll let him tell the stories. But on several occasions, I've asked him the same question 4 times and gotten 4 different answers. What's the craziest thing a band has ever asked? You know, when they come to town, they say, I want to be picked up in this kind of car and, you know, the room temperature, this. But there's always sometimes there's unique things. And he's told me some of the stuff, and I'm like, you're kidding me.
Yeah, I bet he scratched a lot of that stuff from the writer contract, though, knowing Dixie.
Well,
nah, I'm not going to be doing that.
He told me that. There's half of them he'll tell me, he'll go, also, did you do that? He goes, hell no, I didn't do that. He goes, you just asked me what to ask for.
Yeah, everything's negotiable.
Everything's negotiable.
You know, man, Dixie, I mean, he was a guitar tech with Fleetwood Mac. I mean, he's out on the road with Alabama. This guy.
I didn't know he was doing that with Fleetwood Mac.
Yes. Yes.
Oh, man.
That'll be good.
Yeah. I mean, I'm glad he's getting over his back surgery. And
he seems to become, I had lunch with him the other day.
Oh, did you?
He seems to be better. Yeah.
Good.
He's gone through it, though.
Do you have a lot of energy?
What about me? More about me.
We were just talking about that a minute ago, weren't we? So those people have a unique way of saying, okay, enough of that. Now, more about my story.
Dixie's all good,
Dixie.
But I think this is my podcast.
This is my so you have an energy on the radio. And it's, a lot of times when you're younger, it's easy to have, I don't mean this in a bad way, but when you're younger, you have more energy. Yes. And it comes across on the radio, but you don't seem to have lost the energy even, and I've heard this about radio. First of all, you say you get to play the music you like to play. Yeah. Is it dictated by corporate, or is there flexibility built in?
There's flexibility. And now the flexibility is lended to those that have the opportunity of winning. I mean, we could play and do what we wanted. Now there'll be oversight there, and that's one of the other things that's changed about radio technology. It's gone from family-owned business that maybe had 1 or 2 or 3 or maybe had 4 markets or 4 radio stations that they owned. And now, not all, but many are owned by larger corporations, much of which are publicly traded. So that changes the dynamic a little bit. It changes the checks and balances, changes who we report to. But what it doesn't change is when I'm here talking to you about different things that are going on, or when I go do a remote at Don Lefford, like I did over the weekend. I had so many people that walked up that have listened to me and built a relationship and a friendship with me, many of which are rather one way, because I'm telling everything about what's going on with myself and the radio station and my family, and they're listening in, and some that I've spent some time with folks. So that's changed a bit, the ownership. But what hasn't changed is when you can just crack the mic and talk about what's going on in the city and how busy it is on the Ridge Cut.
And you get to come up with that, though. That's not a content-driven thing. I mean, you give the news.
We come up with all
stuff.
the content. Yeah, there's checks and balances and people that oversee the music. But if I said I want to do that, KZ has been blessed and lucky enough to have had a really great, long, successful run and track record. They'll let us play what we want. I mean, we can play what we want, but I play to win. And I try to tap into whatever wealth of knowledge that is within my corporation and outside my corporation and the industry to make sure we play the mix of music that's going to be most enjoyable for
I think young kids will not understand the frustration, and yet now there's nostalgia of looking back on when I would call in and request a song and then hit record on my big boom box to try to catch the song that I wanted to hear. Van Halen's Jump because it's the summer and it's night. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Kids don't understand that it was not always on demand.
Yeah.
And
that was your on demand. That was your on demand. You were creating your own on demand.
That was your playlist.
You were.
We made play tapes. We made playlists. And we did the exact same thing that you 15-year-olds are doing now. It just took us a minute.
Right.
And we worked at it, and we treasured that tape. And when we lost that tape, we would look everywhere for that tape, because it took me 5 weeks to put that tape together.
And so many of those platforms now have made people think, well, I don't know, radios, but they said that about radio so many different times. When cassette tapes became popular, when 8-track tape were popular, when CDs happened. I mean, there's
satellite.
Their music is what we play is accessible from a variety of different places. So it makes it even more important that the things that are happening in between the records,
the energy we were talking about,
are everything that we can to make the whole experience more pleasurable.
Yeah, you don't get Scott Chase on satellite or on your. I mean, I don't mean that in a bad way, but you don't get Kelly McCoy.
No,
you don't get Quake. You don't get Joe Varney. You don't get people. You don't get personalities on digital, and especially you don't get them talking about what's going on right now in this second in your neighborhood
and where you live. Yeah.
In your neighborhood.
Yeah. And what's going to happen? What had happened? Their take on it. Their ability to call in and hey, I was there. Man, what happened to so and so and so and so? And then somebody calls in. Man, I was on the other block. I went over there. And this is what was going on.
Hey, folks, don't forget, this episode is also brought to you by Team Monteith with Keller Williams. Find ChattanoogaRealEstate.com. I'll tell you, and if you're listening to this, you'll have one of those, oh, yeah, I see what he's talking about moments here in just a second. If you don't believe that, if you don't believe that in my world, radio is still healthy, and healthy can be relevant to where we're at because it is more segmented now. The world's just more segmented. You go back to 9/11. You go back to the last big snow day you had. Go back to the last tragedy in Chattanooga. Go back to the last weather event. Go back to the last anything that affected more than just your address. And one of the first things people do is, and I hate to say that, they do run to TVs, but they run to TVs when they get to a TV. Everybody, especially now on these things we have, I can actually listen to the station.
Right, you can.
From devices other than the radio.
We were just looking at some of the stats as to how people were listening to KZ106, and radio's got 94% saturation, which dwarfs anything else.
Yeah.
There's nothing that comes close. Nothing that comes close to the saturation and the users that radio has. But they're also enjoying our content in a variety of different ways now, and one of which is the handheld computer everybody's got in their pocket.
That's right. Yeah. What I'm saying is when the community needs something, they normally default automatically turn on the radio.
First, it's somebody that they know. Hopefully, it's somebody that they trust.
Yep.
That's going to shoot them straight. I've tried to have a level of transparency with what I've done over the years, so people really know pretty much what they're going to get with me.
Right.
And they know I'm going to tell the truth.
Well, and you want to get up to speed. I mean, I hate to say this now, but I can go on Facebook. And I had Chief David Roddy on 4 or 5 months ago. And when they had the big thing at the mall about 1.5 years, 2 years ago,
right.
the quasi shooting, the girl I was dating at the time, we were out in that area and the traffic, of course, was backed up. But if you go on Facebook, 5 people have been shot. Nobody had been, you can't trust.
No checks and balances.
Zero.
Yeah.
And so what I think is the swing for everybody is the pendulum is everybody does run at first. They all go to Facebook or they'll go, but everybody kind of settled back down to what they know. I know if I tune in to talk radio, I know what I'm going to get. If it's a guy I listen to at Nash Icon, I know what I'm going to get. And if it's Scott Chase, I'm going straight to Scott Chase or Kelly because I know what they're going to get. Mm-hmm. And I think that you're just not going to replace that with anything other than local radio.
Well, those poor weathermen and meteorologists really took it a chin yesterday, didn't they? Wow.
I'm going to be honest. Either we were talking about something uncomfortable or you just wanted to get the excitement level back up. Because I love all of them. I love every one of them. They don't kiss my ass, though. I love every one of them. I love Paul Barris. I remember the old campaign. Paul said it would be like this. Nuh-uh. David Carnes is a buddy of mine. I love Dave Carnes. I went to church with Patrick Core for a long time. I have no idea what's going on.
I had Chip Chapman on with me that afternoon before. I said, what do you think? He goes, man, I'll tell you one thing. It's going to snow hard. I'm not sure how much will stay here, but it's going to snow.
Hand to God, man.
Oh, well, it's the weather. You don't know for sure.
You should know for sure.
Yeah, you don't know for sure.
Here's what I think.
The model thing. Did you put that? Was that something you?
Yeah.
It was something you put on there when they talk about the. Or was that? I don't know.
I said something about it, but I think there should be some sort of, like you should do 50 push-ups or some sort of silly video as punishment. From now on, if you're within a 12-hour window or a 24-hour window and you're still calling for snow, very few times as an adult do you get excited and go, you know what? I'm shutting it down tomorrow. Shutting it down, not going to, I'm going to the doctor, Scott Chase, after we record this. Do you know why?
Why?
I got a little under the weather, a cough I can't get rid of. My doctor's whole office was closed yesterday because it was sunny.
It was too
much sunshine.
It's way too nice outside.
I swear to God.
Yeah.
Dude, anyway, I woke up yesterday morning. My daughter was at her mom's house, and I texted her, I said, hey, enjoy your snow day. I don't even want to talk to you. She had her snow boots out. They were ready. No snow.
Let's do it.
No snow.
Hey, I'm going to start doing a podcast. I want to be more like you. First of all,
set your standards. Well, let me put it this way: way to set your standards achievable. Sir.
Are you going to do my podcast?
Absolutely. If you want me to do your podcast,
okay.
So what's your podcast going to be about?
Well, we're kicking those ideas around. It could be about music. It could be about the history of the radio station, which is really rich and fun. But I think we got to get outside. We've got to deal with some things that Kelly is interested in. Pets, for one, with her, with me. Shooting, hunting, fishing.
Okay, wait a minute. We're going to talk about your podcast real quick. Let's surprise some listeners.
Okay.
How many guns Scott Chase have?
Oh, I've got, my oldest son who moved away. He got a few. Basically, I don't know. I got 20, 30 guns.
And your favorite gun? You were telling me before.
I think I have a 410, an SKB over under 410 with a 28-inch barrel, full and modified, that I got. Probably, 34, somewhere in the neighborhood of 37, 38 years ago, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love shooting that gun. It doesn't kick the snot out of me, for one thing. I can shoot it all day long, and I like shooting it. That may be my favorite. I've got a little pearl handle Smith & Wesson 38 Special that was my dad's gun. I'm pretty partial to that, too. And I can shoot it real well. I've got this and that, and, these all kinds of. But I know if I have that gun, wherever I'm gonna hit wherever it is.
Something's going down. There's some pain.
Yeah, I don't miss. With
I don't miss. Didn't you just go to a gun show?
I went to the SHOT Show in Las Vegas, and I went with.
There was like 2 or 3 vendors there at least, wasn't there? 2 or 3.
Mike, first of all, have you ever been to the convention center
I've never
there?
Been to
the
Las
convention
Vegas.
center in Las Vegas is 6 floors, I guess.
Okay.
And every floor is bigger than every floor was full. There was the Brownings and the Winchesters and Glock and anybody you could ever think of as far as guns and knives and every kind of tactical gear and all the shoes and clothing and Under Armour and armor. And it was way cool, man.
How long did you stay? Was it hard to leave, or was it one of those things you just walked around for days?
We can walk away. It's from Tuesday till Friday. We stayed a couple of days, and I went. It was interesting. I went with Paul Chapman from North Georgia Reloading, a great guy.
Yeah.
And his wife, Brandy, and Julie went, and we had a blast. We did, and it was interesting because Julie really loves Las Vegas more than I do. I like going, but she likes to gamble a little bit and play some slots, and we go occasionally. But this time I had something to do outside, just the casinos and walking up and down the Strip or walking downtown by the Golden Nugget. And that was nice. And we also went outside town to a place called Red Rock Canyon, which I've always seen these mountains outside Las Vegas. And I've always said, well, one day I want to go over there. So we rented a car and drove over there. And it was just beautiful.
Was it worth it?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it was beautiful.
So part of your podcast, you may talk about guns. Get Tony Sanders on or something.
I think so. I think, Tony Sanders taught my youngest son, Mason, hunter safety. When he got his hunter safety, that was Tony Sanders that did at Highland Sportsman Club. I
had him on the podcast about a month and a half, 2 months ago.
Yeah.
And we talked. So do me a favor before we finish talking about your podcast.
Okay.
What is something about radio that would surprise people behind the scenes? Maybe it's a misconception, a myth, or something that you look at when you tell them, they go, really?
I don't know what that would be.
See, I can tell you something.
What?
I can tell you something. Sometimes, and I think most people know it now, but sometimes when you hear people in the studio, they're not in the studio.
Yeah, well, that's that technology.
Yeah. But a lot of times that surprises people when I tell them, listen, when you're listening to some stuff that's off grid,
it may be,
it may be
it could be
pre-done.
Don't like to make it that you can do that, but I don't do much of that in the afternoon. Occasionally, I might do that.
I don't think you have to do it in the afternoons.
No,
a lot of times.
but I don't want to do it too far out away because I think if you do,
something happens.
Well, yeah, you become too middle of the road.
Yeah,
you can't really talk about what's happening.
Casey's been a player forever, man. What was the first song? You remember the first song ever that was Casey's first song?
FM,
78?
Steely Dan. Steely Dan FM.
Really?
Yeah, Steely Dan's FM. Second was Freebird, I believe.
As it should be.
Yeah.
Sir, thank you very much. All right, so let's finish up talking about your podcast.
Okay.
Why do you want to do
podcast?
podcast?
I haven't even got one going.
Oh, yeah, but why do you want to do podcast?
Well, everybody's doing, it seems to be the new thing. And here's the other thing I think about podcasting that's interesting, especially on a station that's not a spoken word station, a news talk station, where all it is conversation for the most part, and maybe a little bit of bumper music. With me, they're coming to KZ106 to hear songs. And so I can't stop down and talk. I could, but unless I'm saying something that's pretty interesting, people want to hear that next Pink Floyd or Led Zeppelin song.
Right.
So I think this will give us the opportunity of stopping down for a period of time and letting people know and feel a little bit more about what we're all about and what makes us tick.
Yeah, I think, and I've said this to you and Jared and your folks, and I've said it to other radio stations if they'll ever listen, and I'm not the defining voice at all, but I think podcasts are to radio what the digital world was to newspapers. In other words, I can go get other content that kind of fills the void for radio. I can find, to me, one of the benefits of listening to Scott Chase on the radio is you keep me company. I used to, when I was in my early 20s, I actually owned a commercial cleaning company for 3 years. I had 8 part-time employees, and we had 30-something clients, and I was going around constantly at night checking on stuff.
Wow, that's cool.
Well, but radio started keeping me company.
I get it.
They're my voice, right? So now podcasts are kind of doing that same thing. Podcasts are keeping me they're keeping me company. Okay, well, if newspaper had embraced the digital world a little sooner and found a way to play nice with them, I don't think they would have suffered as much. I think they would have had some problems, but I think they would have had an easier transition. I think podcast is a natural fit for personalities because what I think it allows you to do is it allows you, the station, to actually play upon your strength, which is I can get Freebird on my phone right now.
Mm-hmm.
But I can't get Scott Chase.
You know,
I can't get Brian Joyce or whatever.
Yeah.
So now I get to actually learn more about Scott. I get to hear Scott's his opinion about
Should we have
whatever.
Should we have guests? A lot of guests.
And sometimes I like this show. I think it's got to come natural. I think when there's something you guys want to talk about and it's community driven, or you've had a big something that's come in the studio and you'll know, hey, this is a great podcast. Can you stay on? Let's do a podcast after this.
Right.
I think that's fine, but I think having guests on, absolutely.
I do too.
Because people want to hear Scott talk to people.
Right.
And the difference between this podcast and yours.
And one might be really good.
Well, absolutely. Damn, people.
No, yours is good, man.
Well, listen to him.
You think I would have come back and done it again?
Oh,
Had the warm-up time not been fun?
Oh, look at these buttons aren't working all of a sudden, Scott. I'll be damned. Wasted another 45 minutes of your time. Well, what I'm saying is, though, you keep them 15, 20 minutes, a commute time.
Yes, sir.
Just sprinkle them. I think you guys are on the right track. And the fact that you're even doing it, I think is a huge step in the right direction.
Yeah, I think.
When are you going to have a kickoff?
I would think over the next couple of weeks.
Good.
Yeah, I think maybe the first one might be with maybe Paul Chapman from North Georgia Reload, since he and I spent some time at the SHOT Show.
Talk about your trip.
Yeah, talk about the trip, talk about, weaponry, what's going on, and, what's exciting. I'm thinking maybe that one. Or it'll be Kelly and I that sit down and kind of talk about the history as we know it, about KZ106. Maybe
I think that would be a great one, too.
Maybe have somebody from around here that was part of the radio station.
Who was the first voice ever on
David
KZ?
Carroll.
David Carroll. That might be.
First morning guy. Maybe have him.
What? Dude, get the very first voice ever.
Podcaster, isn't he?
Yes.
He'd be good. He'd be good. We'll have a lot of people. I think we have just listeners.
I got to be honest.
I think occasionally we ought to just have a little round table focus group and just have some people that have a little equity in KZ106 as far as.
I'm going to just be honest with you.
Okay.
If the first voice in 1978 was David Carroll.
Put him on with it.
For the first podcast?
Okay.
I think that'd be killer.
That's a natural. Okay.
I think that would be killer.
I think it would be too.
We're starting the new era. Look at you. I'm getting all excited about listening.
Hey, man, I gotta go.
You said 2 o'clock. We're done right now. Look, it's 1:58.
I got to get to the. I got to be there.
You've got a job
I didn't
to
record
do.
ahead of time.
Dude, I appreciate it.
I appreciate you, Clint.
Man, this is awesome. That's Scott Chase. KZ106. Tell everybody how to find you guys real quick, man. Where can I find KZ106?
Well, you can find it everywhere on your smartphone. You can find it now through the KZ Gold Card app. We've got another app that you could use. You could go to KZ106.com and listen to the stream right there. Or most everybody's got a radio.
106.
It's off FM 106.5.
106.5. Thank you, Bo.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to During the Break. If you like this episode, share it with your friends. If you have a few minutes, please rate and review the podcast on iTunes to help us reach a larger audience. Also, like our Facebook page and check out our website, duringthebreakpodcast.com. If I haven't asked too much already, join us again next time on During the Break.